Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope we're all doing well. So today, as you can see, I'm doing something slightly different. I'm going to be reviewing the Millionaire Fastlane, which is a book that I've just finished recently. I said I'd be doing a review on it, and I thought it's just a really good book that I've read, and I think it's really important that I kind of share the messages that I've learned through reading this book to you guys, because it honestly has changed my life completely. And like as I say, this book is definitely the best book I've read to date. Um, I've recently produced a book review on my Instagram, and that's my Instagram there, where I will have reviewed like a lot of books that I've been reading recently, the likes of this, The Way of the Superior Man, and more financial books. So go check that out. Um, So the book, The Millionaire Fastlane, this focuses on three different roadmaps that people use on their financial journey. Um, Two of them I'm going to speak about is the way a lot of people, like the normal people, kind of live their lives, the road that you should not follow, and we have the fast lane, which is the way to kind of create like generational wealth in your youth, and then go on to enjoy the fruits of your labor, so that you're not 50, 60 years old when you don't have the same level of like drive and ambition. You don't want the same cool things as you once did. You like you're not the same physically, you're not the same mentally, to do those same things as you once were. And this is kind of like the dream for all of us. We want to be able to have the best of both worlds, I guess. And like this book makes you realize that it's more than possible, especially in this day and age with technology advancements, and the way kind of a lot of people live their life is just like I mentioned on a lot of videos. They just coasting through life without any plan, whether that be financially or just a plan to kind of in any area of their life. So I think it's definitely more than possible. MJ is a example of this. I'll speak a bit more about his personal journey, but I think he was maybe 24, 25, and he was still kind of working like part-time jobs. He did like a limousine, working for a limousine company, and then he tried to turn that into a business, which didn't work out too well because it was saturated, which I'll speak a lot about in the next slides. But yeah, it's really important that we learn that there is ways, and you don't have to be like 60, 70 years old to kind of enjoy the work that we've put in. And yeah, so let's go on to the different types of roadmaps. So you have the sidewalk, which is probably, I'd say, the slow lane is probably the one where it is the most common. But sidewalk is the people who live finance life, loans. They no plan whatsoever on how they use and spend their money. They just kind of want to keep up with the Joneses, as you hear that expression quite a lot. They just like kind of, they probably just like look at their neighbors and be like, oh, he's got that car. I need to keep up with him. Oh, he's got a bigger house. He's got a better watch. All of this type of stuff. It's all about competition and trying to keep up with them when they can't afford it. The chances are the people they're trying to compete with are just playing a different game to them. They're different money completely. Um, so yeah, this is a sidewalk. Normally, quite a lot of young people I feel are in the sidewalk where they don't really have a plan and don't really have any like financial kind of knowledge. Um, but yeah, this is I'm going to go more into the three different roadmaps as we go along. And then you have the slow lane, which is the most common roadmap followed by a lot of people. Anyone who's kind of like in that rat race, their 9 to 5 job, trapped inside the matrix. Sorry. The mainstream advice kind of given to you by like gurus and experts: save, 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 invest money, invest, compound interest, all of this like bullshit that's never really worked for anyone. So yeah, we'll go into that more. And then you have the fast lane, which is a lane we want everyone to get onto, which is a road to wealth in your youth. Any entrepreneur that you see who's around 30 under will have used the fast lane to get to amass the wealth that they have done so far in their life, whether that be consciously, whether they've read a book like this or something along these lines, or subconsciously they'll kind of know the message. If they like picked up the book, they'd be like, oh yeah, I've done that, but they've not actually like read about it. So yeah, they're the three different maps. So more onto the sidewalk, the Sidewalker. The Sidewalker is not even in the game, hence the name. Like, they're just like on the side. There's no plan whatsoever. They're coasting, drifting through life, like you see a lot of people do these days. They are just drifting. They don't have any plan whatsoever. They're normally young people, maybe they're fresh out of uni, where they've not had to worry about finances. Like, I made this mistake too, going to uni myself. None of us think about the finances, or just think, oh yeah, I'll think about it one day. But at the end of the day, we've got that debt chained around our neck, and we'll have to pay it back like one day. And they've kind of just probably had like this lifestyle for like a few years now, and they've not really had to like worry about like saving money or thinking about their future or investing money or businesses, anything like that. So they kind of go into like the real world, I guess you could say, and they don't have any education. They've probably not read any books. Maybe their like parents have been sidewalkers too, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult, and I would be very concerned if I hadn't educated myself. These people will have that attitude of it's not all about money, yet they're constantly trying to find ways to kind of like cheat the system. They'll be looking for like loans and credit and finance. You probably know someone like this, like in your family or friend. I like know a lot of people like this. There's always people out there that are just trying to like look for like a way where they're normally just like quite lazy, and they just want to like easy money without actually doing anything. And this is kind of where like all your taxes go and stuff, but they'll say, oh, it's not all about money, it's not all about money. But yeah, they're like constantly looking for ways. They're indulging in stuff because they feel like they deserve a treat because they've done nothing. I know so many people like that. Like, they don't deserve it, but they say that they live above their means. They probably have like their means are very, very minimal, but whatever it is, they'll just spend more than they actually earn, and that's how they get into the debt, and finances and loans and all of this shit that just compounds and compounds and leaves you in a bigger mess as you get older. And a lot of people kind of struggle to get out of that, and then they'll probably gradually move on to the next one, which is a slow lane. So the slow laner, this is someone who believes like investing in the stock market, working long hours in their job, and paying their bills like first is the route to wealth. If they do this for around, say, 30, 40 years, they just might be able to retire 3 years earlier than average. So instead of retiring at 65, they can actually retire at 62. Great. I'm sure everyone watching this video looks at this and be like, oh, I want to be a slow lady. I really want to retire at 62 instead of 65. Oh my God, those 3 years. And that's the thing. The slow laner, they do not get to see the best years of their life. Seeing their kids grow up, especially when they're young, vacations, spending time on things they actually love, their passions, that all goes out the window because they're sold this dream that one day they'll be able to retire a few years early and live the life they always wanted to live. But a lot of people don't think about this. Like I've mentioned in a lot of videos, you never know what is around the corner, and the slow laner doesn't think like this. A lot of people, they might imagine being this guy. You've got to 61, or maybe let's say you've done really well at saving, and you've got to 50, and you're going to retire in 6 months. You've been like working long hours, 60, 70 hours a week, and then you're finally going to retire. You've got millions in the bank, and then you have a heart attack and die. Like, it can happen. It's happened to a lot of people, and there's no reason it couldn't happen to you, because you've also got to remember, if you live in this type of lifestyle where it's work, save, you're putting a lot of stress, and especially your physical and mental health is naturally going to deteriorate while you're on this road. And I definitely think it's probably the worst, like, in terms of enjoyment. It's your worst lane to go down, because there's actually nothing good. At least with the Sidewalker, they actually get some type of like pleasure, I guess. I definitely don't recommend following the Sidewalker's route of not having a plan or thinking about money for the future. But at least they actually get some type of pleasure out of it and some experiences. Whereas the slow laner is just sold this dream of like it's all going to become true at 60, 65, when he's like just not feeling like doing the same things he once was when he was younger. So this is a fast lane now, which is a lane that you should all be following, that route you should all be aiming to build. And this is working on building like a money system, or a money tree, as you like to say, which can then be systemized and automated in the future. Uh, if you're a fast laner, you will try, well, you won't try, you will sacrifice the normal day, like everyday activities you see a lot of people doing, who be going out like drinking, partying, like drugs, all of this bullshit that I always like say just don't do at all, because they're like thinking about their future self. And that's a big part of the fast lane. You have to like sacrifice this for a few years. But these people who do this, they don't have to work another day. They don't have to lift a finger again, other than maybe MJ says just watering that money tree. They're just checking up on stuff, making sure everything's like running smoothly. They've got people working for them, and they've got so much money that it doesn't really matter how much they pay these guys. But of course, they'll like check up on their business, make sure everything's like running all right, or maybe they've retired anyway. But yeah, like MJ said, he like checks up, maybe like does 1 hour a week, and just like maybe replies to email, but it's not really like proper work anymore. So the fast laner will live below their means with the plan to increase their means in the future. So they're living kind of like a slow laner, but with the idea that within a few years, like 3 to 5 years, I think that's like a good amount of time that you can realistically expect to kind of amass like a good amount of wealth to you, that you can kind of like steady you, and you can live kind of life on your terms as much as you want, really, within reason, obviously. But you can like kind of travel and like see places you want, live kind of anywhere where you want, like eat out and stuff, as long as it's not too extravagant. Obviously they've got that goal that it's going to be happen in a few years, so they kind of like, they will like, you kind of like do what you can to kind of like save money here and there, but you're not living like frugally throughout your life like everyone is in the slow lane. So what is wealth? Obviously a lot of financial books, they kind of just speak about money, money, money. It's obviously, we all know there's a lot more to life than just money. And what creates like a wealthy life? So MJ says that a wealth is a mixture of the three F's. It's a combination of finance, family, and fitness. So the three F's, you've got finance, obviously the main one, which is obviously going to be spoken about a lot, is money, which is what the main kind of thing you need to get the freedom you want to live kind of life on your own terms. And then you've got family. So your relationship with your loved ones, your friends, your family, intimate relationships, and then your health. Like we say, the most important one. If you don't have your health, you don't really have anything. You've got to have I think the family and the fitness, that those two have to become before the financial part. Like if you don't have them two, then you're not gonna have like you're not gonna be able to, for starters, like work on a business if you don't have your health. And I think having like really good relationships with friends, family, intimate relationships, that's gonna like, it's gonna give you like such a massive advantage and boost over anyone else who just doesn't have that. Because you see like a lot of people with money and they don't have that kind of like relationship, and they don't feel loved by anyone, and it's very upsetting for them. But I think if you have that, especially when you're starting, it's going to really like spur you on to another level. And for me, like this is bang on. I think like they're the three things, and I would put them in like the opposite order. Go finance, family. Fitness, family, and finance in that order. And I think that is wealth, and that's kind of like the key to freedom and happiness, in my opinion. So on to the trade-off. So the trade-off is, a lot of people are trading 5 days for 2 days, Monday to Friday. So they'll work 5 days, Monday to Friday, they'll do a 9 to 5 job, and then they'll go out on the weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, they'll go do whatever they want, spend their money, and then they're probably spending the Sunday like recovering. A lot of these people like don't understand that they are just another slave in the system. I guess I do understand that obviously everyone sees life from a different perspective, and everyone has a different purpose, but I honestly, there's a lot of people who are definitely like waking up to this type of thing. There's obviously the rise of like Tate and stuff, who mentions this a lot. But yeah, a lot of people they a lot of people don't want to spend a few years like working on a business, whatever it may be, being learning skills, etc., because they want balance, they want freedom, and all of this bullshit. But they don't understand that that's what they could do whatever they want if they just sacrifice like a 2 3 year. Like I mentioned earlier, yes, you do not know what is around the corner in life. I know that for certain. I've experienced a lot of events, especially recently in my life, where that's become more apparent than ever. But I think it's the chances of you being around in maybe in 10 years time, especially if you're around my age, are very high. So yeah, that's the kind of message is like, yeah, I think it's normal. I think it's definitely worth like sacrificing a couple of years, especially in your 20s. Like I made a video of building your empire in your 20s, to kind of like have that in a few years, and then you do whatever you want. Like it really can be that simple if you just put the work in. But I guess a lot of people kind of think that's like somewhat like unrealistic, maybe if they've kind of seen the way the parents live, and they've not really seen like actual real life examples. But I've seen a lot, and it's definitely possible. And the more you read about this, and the more you kind of like have this mindset, the more you kind of like see those people out there, and it becomes like more relevant. You know, when you kind of like see something, I'd say if you kind of like it's on your mind, like a certain type of car, you start seeing that. If you look thinking about like certain numbers, you start seeing that. So it's that kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. But anyway, so like MJ, he traded 7 days for zero for years, for a couple of years. I think like 2 3 years, with the return of investment, and the kind of like goal and ambition and drive for him was to go from that to 0 to 7. He can do whatever he wants for the rest of his life. And he uses like the analogy of trading 5 loaves of bread for 2 loaves of bread, where everyone would agree that that is a bad deal. Like obviously it's not, but a lot of people will happily sacrifice 5 days of their life to enjoy 2 days of their life, which is like crazy. For me, I've always kind of thought stuff like this, but I know that people be like, oh yeah, but I've got family to provide for. But I guess that's kind of like life setup, and making sure you kind of have your life set up before you go and do these things that you know you can't really afford, and you're going to have to be doing stuff that's not going to make you happy and you don't want to do, like working jobs. Um, but yeah, for me, that is the kind of way you go about it, especially when you're young and you've got these big ambitious goals, because you won't have that in 20 years time. Like I hear like a lot of people say that, oh yeah, I'm gonna like get out of this job, I've just got to like save up a bit more money, but then they'll get promotion, and then they'll just get there for a few more years and be like, oh, just a bit more money, just a bit more money. And it kind of just like never ends. And that's what I think. And they get older and they don't have it, and they get comfortable, and it just doesn't work out that well. I don't really see. I think First Man was a really good example, but he's just a different breed of someone who was kind of like in the system working his finance job, and then he got out, but he was like, I don't think you'll meet many people like him who will just like work relentlessly every day. Like he was working 12 hours, then he'd come back and work on his business 12 hours, like 5 days a week. Then weekends he'd be doing his business as well on the side, until eventually he like built up enough money, and it was like, okay, that's enough. But I don't think, like for me, I'll have the humility to say like I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to do that. And I'm sure like anyone who's kind of watching this video is probably feeling the same. Like I don't think that's the lifestyle I'd want to live, and I don't feel like I need to kind of get to that level. But yeah, like I say, I think by doing that for a few years, you will get the results wherever. It will depend on how far you want to push it to kind of the levels you reach, and how long you need to kind of do it for. So when it comes to like creating that platform to get the to get this millionaire fast lane, there's a protocol called the sense. So we have sense. So C stands for control. So who has control over the business? Because it is pretty much is going to be like a business if you want to amass like a large amount of money quickly, unless you have like inheritance, or like you're a professional athlete or an actor or something like that. But for an average person, it's going to be a business. So who has control? Do you have like full control, or does someone else have like somewhat control? And then you've got E, which stands for entry. What are the entry barriers into the industry? Do you have to like put down like a lot of money initially, like 5-6K, and like for a lot of people that's a lot of money when they're starting off. So the entry barriers might be quite low for some other people who are a bit more, who have a bit more money and experience. Skill required, like what do you have the kind of the skills in the industry to kind of make a lot of money? Are you going to stand out from the crowd, or if you're not that skillful, is it really the type of industry you should be getting into? Because that people make that mistake because they like it, and it's what they, it's their passion, and etc etc. Then we've got N, which stands for need. Is there a need for your new like market, your new product, or whatever it is, your new business? Is it quite saturated? Like you see a lot of people like Amazon FBA. I think that's like a great example of like a saturated market, or something that is definitely going to become saturated because like the startup costs aren't too high, and it's like for a lot of people it's going to appeal, isn't it? You can get like location and time freedom from the job. And if you like, you see people, especially on Instagram. It's not the best like advocate. I definitely wouldn't believe everything they say. Of course not. But you see those people making a lot of money from it, and it's not too easy. Um, but I think it's definitely becoming saturated. So you got to like look out for them, and it's very down to kind of timing too. But the next one, T, which is time. Can your business kind of like run without you being there? Do you need to be there, or how much do you need to be there? Because a lot of like people that class themselves as businessmen, and they say they've got a business, but they're there more than a normal job. It's not really a business, is it? Like if it's a business, I consider that if you don't have to like be there, or like it kind of runs on its own. Like you don't need to be there. It's not really a business. You're just self-employed really. If you've got a business where you have to be there all the time, like I don't really see the point really. You might make a good amount of money, but if you have to be there, it's just not worth it. And then you've got your scale. How far can you like scale it up? So say if it's just like a fruit shop, for example, in like a little village or something, like realistically that's only going to reach like a market of like a few hundred people, isn't it? Like the local people will know about it, and then yeah, they might start like telling people, and you get people coming to visit from like local villages, or maybe people just come into the area. But you're never gonna like scale it worldwide. You're not gonna get someone from Australia come to buy your fruit in the UK. It's just not gonna happen, is it? Um, that's why creating an online business is always going to be the best idea when it comes to scale, especially in kind of this generation we're living in. I think it's only going to go one way. Everything's going to become more and more online. So I'll give you my example of my like sense that I kind of followed after kind of reading the book. So obviously I've got like this channel, and but obviously I don't want it to just be this. I do want to like have my own thing in the future, regarding like coaching and programs too. But I guess you could say control. YouTube could just cancel me at any point. So technically I don't have the control. However, like I don't have anyone else involved in this. Like it's me doing everything, especially at the moment. In the future, it I would never let anyone like have the say in things. Like I'll have people working for me, but not having like a say on decisions or anything like that. I don't have anyone telling me what content to make and when. Like obviously, like I mentioned, yeah, I could get cancelled, and I have to be somewhat careful. But I guess kind of at the stage I'm at now, I don't have to worry about that too much. But yeah, I guess control. That's kind of probably the one thing out of the five where I'm like, yeah, this could like all just go wrong instantly. But the other four, I think I definitely tick the boxes. Entry. So the entry barrier for starting like a YouTube channel, I'd say it's moderate. Um, I guess because you need like you kind of have to kind of have like the knowledge, um, and experience to kind of like do something like self improvement, and especially when it comes to like going onto camera, a lot of people won't want to do this. because like I understand like it's a fear, and for me it took a long time to kind of get over that. And I thought a year ago I'd never be able to do this, and I'm sure like a lot of people will feel the same now, and a lot of people will go through their whole life kind of feeling the same, and not and kind of having those limiting beliefs. But I definitely think there is an entry barrier for the kind of industry I'm in. I think especially like my experiences, I feel like I've mentioned before, that's kind of like what's made me want to spread this message so much. And I feel like it'd be such a waste for me to not share my experience and my knowledge with people, because I feel like I've got a lot to offer people, and they're very unique, very unique experiences that not a lot of people have been through. My journey that I've been on over the last couple of years, yeah, it's very unique, and not a lot of people have been through anything kind of like I have. This is not like a sales pitch. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm so perfect or I'm the best in the industry, or like it's just, I'm not saying that at all. That's kind of just my example of my entry barrier. Need. So I think the need has somewhat lessened because you have people like Tate out there who's really been pushing the kind of the message of like men's self-improvement and like working on themselves and becoming the best versions of themselves every day, which is really good, and I'm really grateful for him. He's helped me a lot. But I think there's always going to be a need for like self-improvement, particularly with like modern day distractions and stimulation that we're all like obsessed with our phones and stuff. I think that's only going to go one way, that like the tech companies know what they're doing, and they're only going to make them more and more addictive. And you see like how young people are getting on their phones, and there's like people's screen time 6 to 9 hours a day. It's just ridiculous. So there's going to be, especially when people get older and older, and I think like around my age is when people really struggle at like finding themselves, and they can't get things done because they've just been, their dopamine and all of the things like that have just been destroyed by like modern day distractions and stimulation. It's sad, but I guess that's what I'm here for, and I want to help those people. So on to time. I have to physically be here to record the videos. It's like my channel. It wouldn't be my channel if I had someone else doing them for me. But like everything else can be outsourced, like editing, thumbnails. I could like get a script writer in the future, and like anything I kind of like make, I can programs, etc. Coaching, I could outsource that. So that's pretty good. There's not really a lot I have to be here for, just recording the videos, and I can do that as like often and not as often as like I kind of want it, frequent as much as I want. So I think time like definitely ticks that box too. Scale, like it's internet based, YouTube worldwide, like people could be watching this, so I hope they are from all across the world. Hopefully we get some viewers, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Africa. Like I want to reach those platforms across the world. Like I can scale this anywhere. Like anything, like I say, anything that is available through the internet, it can be scaled worldwide. Everyone has internet access these days. So like I say, it's very important that I think you create an online business. Having stuff like kind of like fruit shops and cafes and stuff like along those lines that one aren't even needed at all, and two, the scale is just so limited, and it's just going to take up so much of your time as well. It's kind of going through all these different commandments, I guess. So on to the different types of fast lane businesses there are. And these are like, I think these MJ kind of like, I went through the book again, but you kind of like rank them in terms of like passivity, is that the word? Like how passive they are. So you have like rental systems, like real estate, which is definitely something that I want to get into in the future because I studied it at uni to learn that. Like it's always been a goal of mine, because I've always saw it as like a way to passively earn money, and I've always been into property from a young age. Um, so I've always known that's a good investment to have. So yeah, that's definitely one avenue you can go down, although having the initial capital for a lot of young people will be a challenge, something I don't have yet. There's also like other types of like rentals you can do, like there's a lot of commercial property, which I probably would say is a lot better than actual residential property too. And you have like rentals, like even stuff like DVDs and books, anything that you could rent. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do, clothes even now. There's a lot of things you can do when it comes to rental system, and like they are very like passive. You don't really have to do much at all, especially if you can like put the system in place and automate it. So, and then you have computer and software systems, which can make a lot of money. Normally, kind of like the nerdy type of people that do this. Something I personally wouldn't get involved with, but yeah, once you kind of like have that system in place, like apps, etc. Once you've built them, you can earn like a lot of money. And once it's kind of set up, it doesn't really need that much monitoring at all. I think MJ DeMarco had his own like software company, and that's kind of what made him the millions within a few years. This is probably the one I know the least about, because to be honest, it doesn't interest me that much, and I know I won't really go down that avenue. But if you want to earn a lot of money, I know there's a lot of money in that, and you see people making like millions of pounds a month through this, and I definitely would recommend for a lot of people to go down that route. So then the third one is content systems. For example, this YouTube channel, that's a content system. Books, blogs, newspapers, more of the past, more it's like YouTube and TikTok, I guess, nowadays. Like obviously, like once you've kind of like put the content out there, you kind of it's out there, and you kind of like see how the public reacts really. But like yeah, it's somewhat passively, I guess. Obviously, yeah, like you have to do like the work, maybe like write scripts, and then obviously record the videos, write whatever. But then once it's out there, then it can start to like compound and make you a lot of money, especially over time. Distribution systems, for example, something like supermarkets, like Amazon, anything that kind of like moves products from like one place to the other. It connects like the producer to the consumer, the guy who's bought it at the other end. So yeah, anything like that, they're definitely like you can make like a lot of money, but you probably have to like be there a lot more, and there's more like work, physical work. Being there is your time is going to be, that's probably the component of this one commandment, sorry, which you'd probably maybe bit concerned about. Then you have human resource systems, so these are like employees, which is Amazon too, but that's backed by like computer systems and then operated, so it's quite different. Um, it saves like a lot of time and money on like employees. Obviously, you can get really good employees that can help you a lot, and especially if they're people you know personally, that you can like really, they can be someone you like really want to work with, and they've helped you a lot along your journey. But obviously, you never know what's going to happen with employees. They might like ring in sick, they might not feel like it, they might just quit on you one day. They're very unpredictable, whereas like when you've got systems in place, they're not going to like complain, they're not going to ask for a raise, they're not going to call in sick, any of that. So probably the one, that's kind of why it's like least passive in that regard. So how much do you need to kind of like get out like the fast lane, I guess? Like how much do you need to kind of live life on your own terms? What life, you have to kind of define what lifestyle do you want to live, when is like enough for you, when it comes to like money, like the house you live in, maybe the car, etc. You kind of have to like write out what is your kind of dream lifestyle. Like if you can have what is everything you want in life, write it like all down, and then you go and like assess the cost, like how much is this going to cost. Like you won't be able to get this like really accurate, it probably won't be, it's going to be like somewhat like a rough figure that you could come to, and then set these targets that you kind of like need to reach, like how much you need to kind of like earn each month, how much you need to like save, etc. Stuff like that, and set the targets for what you need to get to. And then you go out, make it real, make it possible, turn your dreams into reality. So to work out kind of like your gross like living costs, you need to add together like how much your lifestyle is going to cost. So maybe add stuff together such as your car, your house, maybe if you've got kids, like school fees, etc. And then you want to add your allowances together. So this will maybe just stuff like you want to do for fun, entertainment, food, stuff the out of the unknown, because like you never know what's around the corner. You want to have stuff when you, for that unpredictability, that kind of comfort blanket type of thing. Um, and then you use that gross living cost to divide that by 0.60, which it incurs obviously taxes like normally 40%, I think, in the UK and the US once you get past a certain threshold. And this will kind of be like how much you'll need a month. And then there's further calculations you can do to work out like really specifics like the year, and etc. But this is like a lot more detailed, and it kind of went over my head a bit. But if you like read the book, you'll see this towards the end of it. So you do need to have an exit strategy. There'll be like a point when you're ready for like a new challenge. You've kind of fulfilled that purpose of your life, and you're ready to kind of retire or do something new. And when and how will you exit the business that you're in? Will you liquidate it, selling it on? Is it something that you can even sell on anyway? For example, like personal brands are not ideal to build as they cannot be liquidated. You can't like sell them on in the future. Um, so yeah, having that exit strategy should be something that you consider before launching your business. So if you're like watching this now, um, and you haven't actually like decided on your business, then that's great for you, because then you can kind of like think, what, okay, so I need to create something that I could sell on for the future. Like that's what DeMarco did. He like cashed out, I can't remember how much, I think it was like 12 million or something for his like software company. So ideally create something you can like sell on. Obviously their YouTube channel is not something I could just sell on or anything like that. But I'm thinking of creating something, like a type of brand that I could sell on in the future, especially after reading a book like this. But having that exit strategy, I think, is something that a lot of people don't actually think about. They never really know. They kind of just like have all these ideas and then they go for it, which is all good. Obviously, action is better than no action always. But they never really know like how or when they're gonna get out of it, because there will become a time where you feel that it's just run its course. And this is the main like kind of last point I want to speak about, and that is remembering to chase needs and not money. So follow the money. That's what everyone knows like leads to increasing just saturation. So instead of chasing needs, like society, we don't need like another cafe, do we? Like the richest entrepreneurs, like they fill needs that others just don't want to do. They like cleaning debris off the road, pest control, waste recycle businesses, just stuff like that. It's not like attractive or what anyone wants to do. It's not their passion, but it gets them to where they want to be in life. So like, what does the current like market need? Like, just evaluate that. Just take a look. And the more you become kind of aware of this, you'll just like look around in like day-to-day life and be like, oh yeah, they could do with this, or this isn't working too well, there's not enough of this, etc. Your mind starts to like just think a load of things. It's definitely something like I've noticed, which is really good. It shows you developing your entrepreneurial skills, etc. But yeah, like a lot of people are just chasing the money, and if everyone's kind of doing that, then there's not going to be the money's not going to be there, because it just becomes like too saturated, doesn't it? In the end, like everyone can't have a share of the money, and the share of the money, if it's divided out between more people, it's going to become less and less. It's not as valuable. It's not as scarce. So what is needed in the market? I think that's a very important thing that a lot of people don't want to consider, because they want to pursue passions and something they really care about, which I understand. But if it kind of gets you to where you need to be, I think it's definitely something you should consider if you want to just stack up like generational wealth. So that's been my conclusion on the Millionaire Fastlane, a book that I've absolutely loved, the best book I've read to date. I'll leave a link below to buy the book on Amazon by MJ DeMarco. I'm not doing affiliate. I've put I am doing it, but I'm not. I'm not doing affiliate marketing. Oh, I am. Yeah, I'm doing it for free. I'm not getting paid for this at all. I just thought it's a really good book, and I really want to share kind of the knowledge and lessons that I've learned, and kind of open your eyes to see kind of what the route is to wealth, and that it's definitely possible in your youth. For me now, like I could just cannot accept anything less than and going down the fast lane. And I'm kind of like, you start to use it in like your everyday life and think, oh, that's fast lane. That business is not, is it? Is it? He's got a fast lane forum, which you can type in. I think it's like www.fastlaneforum.com, where loads of people like talk about their own problems. It's just, is this venture fast lane? Is it not? So definitely a good community if you want to learn a bit more about it. But yeah, I hope this video has helped, and it's kind of like, it's got you to understand the different types of journeys that people go on, the different types of routes, and it becomes more and more clear once you kind of read this, and becomes more apparent in day-to-day life. And yeah, I wish you the best on your own fast lane journey, and I hope this book's kind of inspired you. If you want me to see me kind of do more reviews on books that I read, I'm more than happy to do so in the future. So yeah, I hope this video has really helped, been insightful. This is my first time kind of presenting since uni, I guess. Come in handy though. So I guess if there's one thing, how much I slate uni, this is coming handy. I might do some more stuff like this in the future. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.